Chapter 1. The cursed Omega's storm hit without warning, turning the forest path into a treacherous maze of mud and shadow. I pulled my worn cloak tighter, clutching the basket of medicinal herbs against my chest as wind whipped through the trees, with enough force to make the ancient pines groan. I should have turned back an hour ago. Should have listened when Elder Morna warned me about gathering supplies so late in the day. But the pack's medicine stores were dangerously low, and no one else had volunteered to make the trek to the northern ridge where the rare moonpetal flowers grew. No one else ever volunteered for anything when it came to helping me. Seraphina, the cursed, they called me behind my back, sometimes to my face. 24 years old and still unable to shift a wolf without a wolf. An Omega who couldn't even fulfill the most basic requirement of pack membership. I was tolerated because Elder Morna needed an assistant, but I'd never be truly accepted. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the path ahead for a brief, brilliant moment. That's when I saw him, or rather, it. A massive wolf lay collapsed across the trail, its gray formatted with blood and rain. My breath caught. Even injured and unconscious, the creature radiated power. This was no ordinary pack wolf. This was an alpha. Every instinct screamed at me to run. An injured alpha was dangerous, unpredictable. But my hands were already moving, setting down the herb basket, approaching slowly with my palms open and visible. Easy, I whispered, though the wolf couldn't hear me over the storm. I'm not going to hurt you. Up close, the wounds were worse than I'd thought. Deep gashes across his flank, what looked like bite marks along his shoulder, and a disturbing amount of blood soaking into the mud beneath him. He'd been in a fight and barely escaped with his life. I should leave him. An Omega had no business interfering with alpha affairs. But the healer in me, trained by Morna's patient hands over countless years, couldn't walk away from suffering. My fingers found his neck, searching for a pulse. Still alive. Barely. Don't die on me, I murmured, already pulling supplies from my basket. Yarrow to stop the bleeding, comfrey for the wounds, willow bark for pain if he woke. My hands worked automatically, tearing strips from my cloak to create makeshift bandages. The wolf's eyes flickered open storm gray and barely focused. For a heartbeat, our gazes locked, and something passed between us. Recognition, maybe, or just shared desperation. Then his eyes rolled back, and he went still again. No. I pressed my hands against the worst wound, applying pressure, feeling his blood hot and slick between my fingers. You don't get to die. Not after I've already ruined my only cloak saving you. Thunder boomed overhead, so loud it felt like the world splitting open. Rain poured harder, washing away my careful bandaging as fast as I could apply it. This wasn't working. He needed real shelter, real medicine, real help. The wolf began to shift. I scrambled backward, heart hammering, as his form rippled and changed. Fur receded, bones restructured. Within seconds, a man lay where the wolf had been naked, bleeding and still unconscious, but undeniably human and undeniably beautiful in a way that made my breath catch for entirely different reasons. He was massive even in human form, all corded muscle and battle scars. His dark hair was plastered to his skull by rain, and his face even slack with unconsciousness held an intensity that spoke of command, of power, of someone used to being obeyed without question. I recognized him then. Kael Stormborne, the Bloodmoon Pack's alpha. My alpha, technically, though we'd never spoken directly. He existed in a different stratosphere, powerful, respected, surrounded always by warriors and advisors. I was invisible to someone like him, less than invisible. But right now, alpha or not, he was dying on a forest path, and I was the only one here to help. I worked faster. My healer's training overriding my fear and inadequacy. The wounds were deep but clean claw marks from another shifter, not weapons. A challenge, then. Someone had challenged Kael for his position and nearly won. As I bound his wounds with what remained of my cloak and covered him as best I could, I noticed something strange, where my hands touched his skin even accidentally. Even just while working, his wounds seemed to heal slightly faster. The bleeding slowed. His breathing steadied. That wasn't normal. I had no healing magic, no special abilities. I was cursed, broken, unable even to shift. There was no reason my touch should help an alpha heal. But it was. His eyes opened again, more focused this time. Storm gray met my silver, and I froze like prey caught in a predator's gaze. You, he rasped, his voice rough as gravel. You're Seraphina, I supplied quickly. From your pack. I found you here. You're badly hurt. Can you walk? There's a hunting cabin about half a mile west. I know. His hand shot out, faster than I could track, catching my wrist. Not painfully, but firmly enough that I couldn't pull away. His eyes searched my face with an intensity that made me feel stripped bare. How are you doing this? Doing what? Healing me. His grip tightened fractionally. I can feel it. Where you touch, the pain lessens. The wounds close faster. His brow furrowed. You're not a healer, Wolf. You're cursed. I finished bitterly. Yes, everyone knows. I can't shift, so I'm useless except for grinding herbs for Elder Morna. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise. Recognition. Before I could identify it, another sound cut through the storm howls, distant but getting closer. Kael's entire body went rigid. They're tracking me. Who? The challengers. He tried to sit up, failed, his jaw clenching with pain and frustration. There were 3 of them. I killed 2. But the third, he bit off whatever he was going to say. You need to run. Now, if they find you with me. I'm not leaving you here to die. That's not your choice. Despite his injuries, Alpha command rang in his voice, the kind of order that made wolves obey without thought. But I'd never been able to shift. Maybe that's why the command slid off me like water. Actually, I said, surprising myself with my defiance, it is my choice. And I choose to help you get to that cabin before whoever's hunting you arrives. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, impossibly, his lips quirked into something almost like a smile. You're either very brave or very foolish. Seraphina, probably both. I slid my arm under his shoulders, bracing myself to take his weight. Now come on, Alpha. Let's see if we can keep you alive long enough for you to decide which. Together, we stumbled into the storm, racing against time and hunters and fate itself. Neither of us knowing that this moment, this choice would change everything. Chapter 2. The Alpha's shadow of morning light filtered through the infirmary windows like honey, casting golden squares across the stone floor. I barely slept, my mind replaying every impossible moment from the night before the golden wolf, the transformation, the way Kael Stormborne had looked at me with eyes that held both fury and something dangerously close to wonder. Now, as I stood beside Elder Morna's workbench grinding feverfew into powder, those same eyes watched me from across the courtyard. I could feel his gaze like a physical touch, raising goosebumps along my arms despite the warm morning air. You're distracted, child, Morna observed, her weathered hands sorting through dried herbs with practiced efficiency. And you've ground that feverfew to dust. Unless you're planning to make it vanish entirely, I'd suggest you stop. I jerked my attention back to the mortar, wincing at the fine powder that should have been coarsely crushed. Sorry. You're thinking about him. It wasn't a question. Morna's pale eyes, clouded with age but still sharp as winter eyes, fixed on me with knowing intensity. The Alpha has taken an interest in you. That's dangerous, Sera. He hasn't, I mean. He's just... I fumbled for words, heat creeping up my neck. He's been standing in that courtyard for the past hour, watching this window. Morna's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. In all my 70 years serving this pack, I've never seen Kael Stormborne wait for anyone. He commands, he conquers, he takes. He doesn't wait. My pulse quickened. What does that mean? Before Morna could answer, The infirmary door swung open with enough force to rattle the glass bottles on the shelves. Kael filled the doorway, his massive frame seeming to steal all the air from the room. He wore simple black clothing today, a fitted shirt that emphasized the breadth of his shoulders, and dark pants that did nothing to diminish his predatory grace. His storm gray eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. "Seraphina Ashwell," he said, my full name rolling off his tongue like a command and a caress all at once. "Walk with me." It wasn't a request. Morna's hand touched my elbow briefly, a warning or encouragement. I couldn't tell. "Go on, child. But remember, alphas are like wildfire. Beautiful, powerful, and capable of burning everything you hold dear to ash." I set down the mortar with trembling hands and crossed the room, acutely aware of how small I felt approaching him. At 5'4", I barely reached his shoulder. The mate bond, if that's what this impossible thing between us was, hummed stronger with each step. A golden thread-pulling taut Kael stepped aside to let me pass, and I caught his scent. Pine and winter frost and something wild. That made my wolf stir beneath my skin. My wolf. Still such a strange thought. We walked in silence through the corridors of the pack house, our footsteps echoing off stone walls adorned with tapestries, depicting the Bloodmoon Pack's history. I tried not to notice how people stopped and stared as we passed, their conversations dying mid-sentence. Tried not to see the mixture of shock and calculation in their eyes. Seraphina Ashwell, the cursed Omega who couldn't shift. The orphan who scraped by on the pack's charity, walking beside the alpha like an equal. "Where are we going?" I finally asked when we stepped outside into the forest path that wound behind the pack house. "Somewhere we can talk without an audience." His voice was rough, like gravel and honey. "You have questions. Hundreds of them. Then ask." I gathered my courage, watching a cardinal flit between the pine branches overhead. What happened last night, the golden wolf, was that really me? Yes, but I'm 24 years old. Wolves manifest at puberty. I should have shifted 10 years ago, or never at all. Kael was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working as if he wrestled with how much to reveal. Finally, he stopped walking and turned to face me, his expression grave. "What do you know about your parents, Seraphina?" The question hit me like a physical blow. They died when I was 3. A rogue attack. That's all anyone would ever tell me. That's not all. He stepped closer, near enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. "Your mother was Elara Silvermoon. She was from the Northern Territories, from a bloodline so old and pure that their wolves were said to be touched by the moon goddess herself." My breath caught. "What now?" I would have been told. "You were told nothing because your mother fled to our territory in secret, pregnant and desperate. She begged my father, the Alpha, at the time for sanctuary. She died protecting you from the wolves who hunted her." His hand lifted, hesitating before his fingers brushed my cheek with surprising gentleness. "Your father was human, Seraphina. That's why you couldn't shift. Your wolf was dormant, waiting. Waiting for what? For the mate bond to awaken it." His thumb traced my cheekbone, and the touch sent electricity dancing across my skin. For me, I should have stepped back, should have demanded more answers, insisted on proof. Instead, I found myself leaning into his touch, my body responding to some ancient recognition that bypassed all logic. "This is impossible," I whispered. "Most worthy things are..." His other hand came up to frame my face, tilting it up toward his. "You're my mate, Seraphina, my fated mate, and your bloodline." He paused, something like awe flickering across his features. "Your bloodline is royal. The golden wolf hasn't been seen in 200 years. It's the mark of the moon goddess's chosen, the wolf that appears only in times of great change." The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "I don't understand. Why would anyone hunt my mother? Why would she run?" "Because power like yours is rare enough to start wars." His voice dropped to a growl. "And there are those who would rather see it destroyed than fall into the wrong hands." "What hands?" Whose a howl split the air, sharp and warning. Kael's head snapped up, his entire body going rigid. The sound came again, closer this time, and I recognized the pattern: 3 short howls followed by 2 long ones. Intruders. We need to go. Now. Kael grabbed my hand, his grip firm but not painful as he pulled me back toward the pack house at a near run. What's happening? The Northern Pack has sent emissaries. His jaw clenched. They're here for you. Fear spiked through me, cold and sharp. How could they possibly know? The Golden Wolf. He pulled me faster, his protective instincts clearly overriding everything else. Every shifter within 100 miles would have felt that surge of power last night. Your transformation was like a beacon, Seraphina. And now everyone knows that the lost Silvermoon heir has returned. We burst through the pack house doors to chaos. Wolves shifted forms, running to defensive positions. Pack warriors armed themselves with silver-edged weapons. And in the center of the great hall stood 3 figures I didn't recognize: 2 men and a woman, all dressed in the deep blue ceremonial garb of the Northern Territories. The woman stepped forward, her silver eyes so like mine locking onto me with predatory focus. A cruel smile curved her lips. "Hello, cousin," she purred. "We've been searching for you for such a very long time. I'm Lyanna Silvermoon, your mother's niece." Her gaze slid to Kael, assessing and dismissive. "And you must be the unfortunate alpha who's triggered her manifestation." "How?" Inconvenient for everyone involved. Kael positioned himself between us, radiating menace. "State your business, or leave my territory. Now." Lyanna's laugh was like breaking glass. "Our business is simple. Alpha Stormborne. We've come to collect what belongs to the Northern Pack. The girl is Silvermoon blood. She comes with us whether she wishes to or not." The mate bond flared hot in my chest, and I felt my wolf surge forward, responding to the threat. My hands began to glow with that same golden light from the night before, and Lyanna's confident expression flickered with something that looked almost like fear. "Touch her." Kael snarled, his voice dropping into the resonance that marked an alpha command. "And it will be the last thing you do." The tension in the room ratcheted up to breaking point. I stood there, caught between my mate's protection and these strangers claiming blood right, and felt the golden wolf rising inside me powerful, ancient, and done with being afraid. This time, I didn't fight it. Chapter 3. Blood and moonlight. Golden light erupted from my skin like dawn, breaking through storm clouds. I felt the shift beginning, not the violent, painful transformation I'd witnessed in others, but something fluid and natural, as if my bones knew exactly how to reshape themselves, as if they'd been waiting their entire existence for this moment. "Wait." Kael's hand closed round my wrist, and the touch grounded me instantly, pulling me back from the edge of transformation. His voice dropped lower, meant only for me. "Not here. Not like this. You're untrained, and they'll use your inexperience against you." The golden light dimmed but didn't disappear entirely, flickering beneath my skin like banked embers. My wolf prowled restlessly inside me, wanting to meet this threat head-on. But I forced myself to trust Kael's judgment. Lyanna's silver eyes tracked every micro-expression on my face with calculating precision. "How touching!" The savage alpha plays protector. She took a step forward, her movements liquid grace. "But protection won't change facts, Stormborne. Seraphina carries Northern blood, royal blood. Her place is with her true family, learning to wield her power properly, not wasting away as some border pack's charity case." The words stung more than they should have, hitting old wounds I thought had scarred over. I'd spent 24 years being the pack's burden, the cursed girl who couldn't shift, who survived on scraps of kindness and Elder Morna's protection. Part of me had always believed I deserved nothing more. But Kael's hand tightened on my wrist, and through the mate bond, I felt his absolute conviction, his certainty that I belonged exactly where I stood. Her place, Kael said, his voice deadly soft, is wherever she chooses it to be. Seraphina is under Bloodmoon Pack protection. She's also, He paused, and I felt his hesitation through our connection. The weight of what he was about to reveal. She's my mate. Challenge her claim to this territory, and you challenge me directly. The silence that followed was deafening. Lyanna's eyes widened fractionally, the first genuine emotion I'd seen crack her polished facade. The two men flanking her exchanged sharp glances. Around the great hall, pack members who'd been preparing for conflict froze. Shocked whispers rippling through the crowd. An alpha publicly claiming a mate was sacred, unbreakable. It meant Kael had just bound his fate and his pack's fate to mine. You've claimed her. Lyanna recovered quickly, but I caught the edge of fury in her voice. How convenient. And I suppose this claim happened to occur just after her manifestation? After you realized what she was? The bond manifested when she shifted, Kael said evenly. But I would have claimed her regardless. Mate bonds don't wait for convenience or political advantage. They simply are. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was happening too fast. Yesterday I'd been invisible, and now I stood at the center of what felt like an international incident, with an alpha who barely knew me declaring me his mate in front of witnesses. I need to speak with my cousin, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. Alone, Kael's fingers flexed on my wrist. Through the bond, I felt his reluctance, his every instinct screaming to keep me close and protected. But he also felt something else from me, determination. A need to face this part of my past on my own terms. 10 minutes, he finally said, his gaze never leaving Lyanna. In the council room, Marcus and Theron will stand guard outside the door. He leaned down, his breath warm against my ear. If you feel threatened for even a second, call for me through the bond. I'll hear you. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The mate bond thrummed between us, and I wondered if he could feel my racing heart. My confusion and fear and strange, wild hope all tangled together. The council room was smaller than the great hall, dominated by a circular table carved from ancient oak. Lyanna settled into a chair with regal poise, gesturing for me to sit across from her. The two male wolves remained outside with Kael's guards, leaving us truly alone. You look like her. You know, Lyanna said after a long moment of studying me. Your mother. Same bone structure, same ridiculous silver eyes. Though yours have that unfortunate human softness to them. You knew my mother? I was 12 when Alara fled, old enough to remember the scandal. Lyanna's fingers traced patterns on the table's surface. She was engaged to the Northern Alpha's son a match that would have united two of the most powerful bloodlines in existence. Then she met your father at some human university, fell for his pretty words and mortal charm, and destroyed everything. The casual cruelty in her voice made my hands clench into fists beneath the table. She fell in love. She was selfish. Lyanna's eyes flashed. Love is a luxury. Seraphina. Power is survival. Your mother chose her heart over her duty, and it got her killed. It nearly destroyed our entire bloodline. She leaned forward. The golden wolf should have been mine. I'm pure-blooded, trained since childhood in our ways. Instead, the moon goddess gave it to you, a half-blood who couldn't even shift until yesterday. Understanding crashed over me. This wasn't about family or heritage or bringing me home. This was about jealousy, about power that Lyanna believed she'd earned but had been denied. Is that why you came? I asked quietly. To take what you think should be yours? I came to offer you a choice. Lyanna's voice turned silky. Come north with us. Learn what you are, what you could become. We have ancient texts, trainers who understand the golden wolf's abilities. We can teach you to control it, to wield it properly. She paused. Or you can stay here with your savage alpha and his border pack, stumbling blindly through power you don't understand until it consumes you. The golden wolf is a blessing and a curse, cousin. Without proper training, it will burn you alive from the inside out. Fear coiled in my gut. You're lying. Am I? Lyanna smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Ask yourself, why did your mother run? What was she so afraid of? It wasn't the Northern Pack hunting her, Seraphina. It was what she was becoming. The golden wolf drove the last bearer mad. She slaughtered half her pack before they put her down like a rabid dog. Stop. My voice came out strangled. 3 months, Lyanna continued relentlessly. That's how long you have before the madness sets in. Unless you come with us and learn the binding rituals that keep the power in check. She stood, smoothing her dress. I'll give you until tomorrow's moonrise to decide. Choose your mother's path and her fate. Or choose survival. She moved toward the door, then paused, glancing back over her shoulder. Oh, and Seraphina? That mate bond you feel so strongly? The golden wolf burns through those too. Eventually, you'll kill everyone you love, starting with your precious alpha. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like a death knell. I sat frozen, her words echoing through my mind. Through the mate bond, I felt Kael's concerned spike he'd sensed my distress. A heartbeat later, he burst through the door, his eyes wild with protective fury. What did she say to you? I looked up at him. This powerful alpha who'd claimed me as his mate, who'd bound his fate to mine without hesitation. And all I could think was, what if Lyanna was right? What if I was a danger to everyone around me? What if loving him was the cruelest thing I could do? Chapter 4. The Alpha's Truth, Seraphina. Kael's voice was rough as he crossed the room in 3 strides, his hands framing my face with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone so lethal. Whatever she told you, whatever poison she poured into your ears, look at me. I did. Those storm gray eyes held mine with an intensity that stole my breath. I can feel your fear through the bond, he said quietly. Not fear of her. Fear of yourself. Fear of hurting me. His thumb traced the curve of my cheekbone. Tell me what she said. The words tumbled out in a rush. The madness. The 3-month deadline. The golden wolf burning through mate bonds. The bearer who'd slaughtered her own pack. With each sentence, I watched Kael's expression shift from concern to something darker. Fury. She's lying, he growled when I finished. Not about everything, but about the parts that matter most. How do you know? Instead of answering, he took my hand and pulled me toward the door. Come with me. There's something you need to see. We moved through the pack house in silence. Kael's presence at my side both comforting and overwhelming. Pack members stepped aside as we passed, their expressions ranging from curiosity to concern. I caught snippets of whispered conversations. Mate bond, golden wolf, northern pack. But Kael's purposeful stride never wavered. He led me to a wing of the pack house I'd never entered before. The alpha's private quarters. My pulse quickened as he pushed open a heavy oak door, revealing a space that was surprisingly intimate, a large sitting room, with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a stone fireplace, and furniture that looked worn and comfortable rather than ostentatious. My father's study, Kael explained, moving to one of the bookshelves. When he died 5 years ago, I inherited not just the alpha position, but his records, his secrets. He pulled down a leather-bound journal, its spine cracked with age, including this. He handed me the journal, and I opened it with trembling fingers. The handwriting was bold and decisive, an alpha's hand. My eyes scanned the first page, then widened. The golden wolf appeared tonight in our territory. Elara Silver Moon, barely 20 years old, glowing like captured sunlight. She came to us broken and terrified, begging for sanctuary from her own pack, from her own family. Keep reading, Kael urged softly. I did, my heart hammering as the entries continued over several months. Kael's father, Alpha Stormborne, had granted Elara protection, had listened as she revealed the truth about the golden wolf, not a curse, but a gift. One that certain bloodlines in the northern pack had been trying to control for centuries. Through breeding and binding rituals. She told me about the madness. One entry read, how the northern pack uses that lie to keep golden wolf bearers compliant. The truth is more insidious. They perform a ritual that binds the wolf's power to the pack's alpha, essentially making the bearer a living weapon with no free will. Elara refused. They would have forced her. So she ran up. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the journal. They wanted to control her. Yes, Kael moved behind me, his presence solid and grounding. The madness story is propaganda, Seraphina, a way to make bearers believe they need the Northern Pack's help. The truth is, the golden wolf is perfectly stable as long as the bearer isn't tortured into submission through blood magic. Relief and rage warred inside me. Lyanna lied about everything. Not everything. His hands settled on my shoulders, warm and steady. There was a golden wolf bearer who went mad and killed her pack. But that was 300 years ago. And it happened because her alpha tried to force the binding ritual. Her wolf fought back, and the magical backlash destroyed her mind. He turned me to face him. Your mother lived 18 years after manifesting. She only died because they hunted her down, not because of madness, but because she dared to choose freedom. Tears burned my eyes. All these years, I'd known nothing about my mother except that she died protecting me. Now I understood she'd been protecting something else to my right to choose my own fate. Why didn't anyone tell me? My voice cracked. Elder Morna knew. She must have known. My father swore everyone to secrecy. He was trying to protect you. Kael's expression softened. If the Northern Pack discovered you existed a golden wolf with royal blood and no binding ritual, they would have come for you immediately. As long as you couldn't shift, you were safe, invisible. Until now. Until now. He agreed. His hands slid down my arms, leaving trails of heat. But you're not alone in this, Seraphina. You have me. You have this pack. And you have choices your mother never got to make. The mate bond pulsed between us, warm and alive. Through it, I felt his absolute conviction, his protective fury, and something deeper, something that made my breath catch. You barely know me, I whispered. How can you be so certain? I've known you for years. His confession hung in the air between us. You think I didn't notice you? The girl who spent her evenings reading in the library, who helped Elder Morna without being asked, who never complained even when pack members treated you like you were less than nothing. His voice dropped lower, intimate. I noticed, Seraphina. I've been noticing you since you turned 20 and walked into the great hall with snow in your hair and fire in your eyes because someone had vandalized the herb garden you'd spent months cultivating. My heart stuttered. That was 4 years ago. I know exactly how long it's been. He stepped closer, crowding into my space in a way that should have felt threatening, but instead felt like coming home. I told myself I couldn't pursue you. You were human, or so we thought. Getting involved with you would have been seen as the alpha, taking advantage of the weakest pack member. So I waited, and watched, and wanted. The confession shattered something inside me. All those years I'd felt invisible, unwanted, tolerated at best, and he'd been watching, wanting. The mate bond didn't create what I feel for you. Kael continued, his hands coming up to cup my face once more. It just made it impossible to hide anymore. You're mine, Seraphina, not because of fate or magic or bloodlines, because you've been mine since the moment you stood in the snow and demanded justice for a patch of medicinal herbs. A laugh bubbled up through my tears, half sob, half joy. That's the moment. That's the moment. His smile was soft, genuine, nothing like the cold alpha mask he showed the world. You were magnificent, small and human and utterly fearless. And I was lost. The distance between us evaporated. I wasn't sure who moved first. Maybe we both did. Drawn by the mate bond or by something deeper than magic. His lips met mine with a gentleness that made my knees weak. A reverent exploration that somehow conveyed everything words couldn't. The golden wolf stirred beneath my skin, purring with contentment. Not wild or dangerous or mad, just whole. Complete dot when we finally broke apart, both breathing hard. Kael rested his forehead against mine. I can't promise this will be easy, he murmured. The Northern Pack won't give up. There will be challenges, political complications, and probably several more attempts to steal you away. I'm not going anywhere. The words came out stronger than I expected, filled with a certainty that surprised me. My mother ran her whole life. I'm done running. Good. His smile turned wolfish. Because I'm not done with you yet. He pulled back slightly, his expression turning serious. But there's one more thing you need to know about why the mate bond triggered your shift. My stomach tightened. What? The golden wolf only manifests in the presence of a true equal. An alpha strong enough to stand beside it without being consumed. His eyes held mine. But there's more to my bloodline than you know, Seraphina. More to what I am. Before I could ask what he meant, a howl split the evening air urgent and afraid. Then another, and another, until the entire pack was crying out in warning. Kael's head snapped toward the window, his entire body going rigid. Through the mate bond, I felt his alarm spike into something close to terror. They're here. He growled. All of them. Who? His eyes met mine, and in them I saw ancient powers stirring something far older and more dangerous than a simple alpha wolf. The northern packs were council, and they've brought an army. Chapter 5. Secrets in the Shadows pack house erupted into controlled chaos. Warriors rushed to defensive positions while families with children were ushered into the reinforced lower levels. Through the windows, I could see torches lighting up the forest's edge, dozens of them, maybe more. The northern pack hadn't come for negotiation. They'd come for conquest. Stay here. Kael was already moving toward the door, his alpha authority settling over him like armor. Marcus will guard you. No. The word came out sharper than I intended, powered by the golden wolf rising beneath my skin. I'm not hiding while your pack fights a war that's about me. He turned back, conflict warring in his expression. Through the mate bond, I felt his desperate need to protect me clashing with something else, respect for my strength, maybe. Or recognition that I wasn't the helpless omega everyone had believed me to be. You don't know how to fight, he said. But his tone had shifted from command to concern. Your wolf only manifested yesterday. You haven't trained, haven't learned control. Then teach me. I crossed the distance between us, placing my hand over his heart. Beneath my palm, I could feel it racing. You said I'm your equal, so trust me to stand beside you, not behind you. For a long moment, he just looked at me. Then, slowly, his hand covered mine. You're going to be the death of me, Seraphina Ashwell, or the making of you. The words came from somewhere deep inside, ancient and knowing. My wolf's voice, perhaps, or the bloodline speaking through me. A knock on the door interrupted us. Marcus entered, his scarred face grave. Alpha, they're requesting parley. Lyanna and 5 council members. They want to meet at the border clearing neutral ground. How many warriors did they bring? Kael's voice had gone cold, tactical. We count 47 wolves in full battle formation. Another dozen held back in reserve. Marcus's eyes flicked to me, then back to his alpha. They also brought a blood mage. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Kael went absolutely still. A predator sensing danger. A blood mage, he repeated softly. They really are planning to force the binding ritual. What's a blood mage? I asked, though dread was already pulling in my stomach. Witches who practice the old magic blood, bone, and binding spells. Marcus's expression was grim. Rare and expensive. The northern pack must want you very badly to hire one. They want the golden wolf under their control. Kael's hand tightened on mine. And they'll kill anyone who stands in their way. He seemed to come to a decision, his jaw setting with determination. Marcus, gather the council. Tell them we meet the northern pack in 1 hour. That gives us time to prepare. And her? Marcus gestured toward me. She comes with me. Kael's voice left no room for argument. But first, I'm going to show her exactly what she's getting into. After Marcus left, Kael led me through a hidden door behind one of the bookshelves. Stone steps spiraled downward into darkness, lit only by the occasional torch. The air grew colder as we descended, heavy with age and secrets. Where are we going? My voice echoed off ancient walls. Beneath the pack house lies the old temple. Kael's hand was warm round mine, guiding me through the shadows. It predates even my family's claim to this territory. The wolves who built it understood things about our nature that most modern packs have forgotten. We emerged into a vast underground chamber. The ceiling soared overhead, lost in darkness, while the walls were covered in intricate carvings, wolves in every form, some recognizable, others strange and otherworldly. At the chamber's center stood a circular pool of water, perfectly still and reflecting the torchlight like liquid silver. "This is the Moonwell," Kael explained, his voice reverent. "Water blessed by the moon goddess herself, or so the legends say. It shows truth, not just what is, but what could be. What should be." He led me to the pool's edge. As I looked into the water, my reflection stared back, but not quite right. My eyes glowed with golden light, and behind me, barely visible, stood the outline of a massive wolf, beautiful and terrible in equal measure. "The golden wolf," I whispered. "Yes, but look closer." Kael knelt beside me, his reflection joining mine in the water. As I watched, his form shifted to not into the gray wolf I expected, but into something else entirely. Something larger, with midnight black fur and eyes that burned like stars. Ancient power radiated from the image, making the air itself feel heavy. "What?" I couldn't finish the question. "My family carries to bloodlines," Kael said quietly, his gaze fixed on the water. "Most people only know about the Stormborne Alpha line, but my mother was descended from the Shadowfang clan wolves touched by the night itself, guardians of the boundary between the mortal world and the spirit realm." He finally looked at me, and his eyes held centuries of secrets. "I'm not just an alpha, Seraphina. I'm a shadow wolf, the last of my kind." The revelation stole my breath. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because shadow wolves were hunted to extinction 200 years ago. The packs feared what they couldn't control, wolves who could walk between worlds, who commanded darkness itself." His voice roughened with old pain. "My mother hid what she was, married my father to protect the secret. When she died giving birth to me, my father swore to keep the truth hidden until I was strong enough to defend myself." I reached for his hand, threading our fingers together. "You've been hiding your whole life, just like my mother, just like me." "Yes." He turned to face me fully, and in the torchlight, I could see vulnerability in his expression, the mask finally dropping completely. "The mate bond between us isn't just about the golden wolf and an alpha, Seraphina. It's about two bloodlines the world tried to destroy, finding each other across centuries. Shadow and light, darkness and gold." The pool's water began to glow, responding to our proximity. In its depths, I saw our wolves circling each other, my golden wolf radiant as dawn, his shadow wolf dark as midnight. Where they touched, the light and dark didn't clash, but merged, creating something entirely new, something balanced. "The Northern Pack doesn't just want to control you," Kael continued. "If they discover what I am, they'll see an opportunity to bind both our bloodlines to their will. Two legendary wolves forced into servitude through blood magic." His grip on my hand tightened. "That's why I need you to understand walking out there tonight isn't just dangerous. It could cost us everything. Then we make sure it doesn't." I stood, pulling him up with me. The golden light beneath my skin pulsed stronger, responding to my conviction. "My mother spent her life running. Your mother spent hers hiding. But maybe that's not what we're meant to do." "What are you suggesting?" "You said the golden wolf only manifests in the presence of a true equal." I stepped closer, until we were sharing breath. "What if that's the key? Not hiding what we are, but embracing it, together, through the mate bond." I felt his hope kindle, fragile, but growing stronger. "You want to reveal everything. I want to stop letting fear control us." My hand came up to rest against his chest again, over his racing heart. "The Northern Pack brought a Blood Mage because they think I'm helpless, that I need their protection and training. But what if they're wrong? What if the golden wolf bonded to a shadow wolf is stronger than anything they can imagine? You've only shifted once, he reminded me. But there was no condescension in his voice, only concern. We don't know what you're capable of. Then let's find out. I looked back at the moonwell, at the image of our wolves merged together. You said this place shows truth. Teach me. Here. Now. Show me how to control the shift, how to call my wolf without fear. We have an hour before the parley. I met his eyes. Make me ready. For a heartbeat, Kael just stared at me. Then a slow, fierce smile spread across his face, the smile of a predator recognizing a worthy partner. You're insane, he said. Probably. I smiled back. Is that a yes? Instead of answering with words, he stepped back and began to shift. The transformation was fluid, mesmerizing one moment a man. The next a massive wolf with fur black as midnight and eyes that glowed with ethereal light. The shadow wolf. Beautiful and terrifying. Ancient power made flesh. He lowered his head in a gesture of respect and invitation. His voice echoed in my mind, carried through the mate bond. Then let's begin, my golden light. Show me what you're truly capable of. The golden wolf surged forward eagerly, and this time, I didn't fight her. I embraced her completely. Chapter 6. 2 wolves, 1 soul transformation was different this time. Where before it had been wild and instinctive, now I felt every shift of bone and muscle as if choreographed by ancient memory. My spine curved, lengthened. My hands reshaped into powerful paws. Golden fur rippled across my skin like liquid sunlight dot, and through it all, I felt Kael's presence in my mind, steady, grounding, guiding. Breathe. His voice whispered through the bond. Don't fight the change. Let it flow through you like water. I did as he instructed, and suddenly I was standing on 4 legs. The world transformed. Sense exploded in clarity, stone and water, torch, smoke, and earth. And underneath it all, Kael's scent, pine and frost, and something wild that called to the deepest part of me. I looked down at my paws, massive and golden, tipped with claws that gleamed like polished amber. My reflection in the moonwell showed a wolf that was both terrifying and beautiful, larger than any normal shifter, with eyes that burned like captured stars. Magnificent. Kael's mental voice was filled with awe and something deeper. You're absolutely magnificent. The shadow wolf circled me slowly, respectfully. His midnight for a stark contrast to my golden radiance. Where the torchlight touched him, it seemed to be absorbed rather than reflected, as if he was carved from living darkness. Now, he said, let's see what happens when our wolves truly meet. He moved closer, and I felt the pull of the mate bond intensify until it was almost painful. Our wolves recognized each other on a level that transcended human understanding, not just as mates, but as to halves of something ancient and powerful that had been separated for far too long. When his nose touched mine, the moonwell exploded with light. Golden and silver radiance erupted from the water, spiraling upward to paint the ancient walls with moving patterns. The carvings seemed to come alive, wolves dancing in eternal circles. And I heard voices, not words exactly, but feelings, memories, knowledge passed down through centuries. The balance, the voices whispered. Shadow and light, night and day, 2 souls that make one whole. Visions flooded my mind. Ancient wolves standing together against impossible odds. A golden wolf and a shadow wolf leading a pack that spanned territories, bringing peace between warring factions. Power shared, not hoarded. Strength doubled, not diminished. And then I saw the betrayal leather packs growing jealous, fearful of what unified bloodlines could become. The hunts, the slaughter, bloodlines scattered and hidden, forced underground, waiting for a time when they could emerge safely again. They tried to destroy what they couldn't control. Kael's voice echoed through the vision. But they couldn't destroy what was written in the stars. They couldn't destroy us. The light faded slowly, leaving us standing in the soft glow of torches once more. But something had changed. The mate bond no longer felt like 2 separate threads connecting us. It felt fused, seamless. as if our souls had been woven together by forces beyond mortal understanding. Change back. Kael instructed gently. Let's see if you can control the shift both ways. I focused inward, searching for the thread that connected my wolf to my human form. It was easier than I expected, a simple matter of will and intention. Bones reshaped, fur receded, and moments later I was standing on two legs again. Naked and glowing with residual golden light. Kael shifted back as well, his transformation as fluid as breathing. He immediately shrugged out of his shirt and draped it over my shoulders, a gesture both protective and intimate. The fabric held his warmth, his scent. That, he said, his voice rough with emotion, was extraordinary. I saw things. My hands trembled as I clutched his shirt closed. When our wolves touched, I saw the history of the golden wolves and shadow wolves who came before us. They were partners, equals. They led together. Yes, Kael's hands came up to frame my face, his touch reverent. The Moonwell showed you the truth. Our bloodlines aren't meant to be hidden away separately. They're meant to unite, to balance each other. His thumb traced my lower lip. That's why the mate bond is so strong between us. We're not just compatible, we're cosmically designed for each other. The weight of that realization settled over me. The Northern Pack doesn't know about you, do they? About what you really are? No. And we need to decide tonight whether we reveal everything or continue hiding. His expression grew serious. If we show them both bloodlines bonded, it could intimidate them into backing down. But it could also make them more desperate, more dangerous. I thought of Lyanna's calculating eyes, her barely concealed envy. She'll want us more if she knows. Two legendary bloodlines bonded together, that's not just power. That's dynasty building. That's the kind of advantage that could make the Northern Pack unstoppable. Which is exactly why we can never let them control us. Kael pulled me closer, until we were sharing breath again. But there's another option. One that my father's journals mentioned, but I never fully understood until now. What option? A true mate bonding ceremony? His eyes searched mine. Not the binding ritual the Northern Pack wants to force on you, that's slavery. But a willing union performed under the full moon with both wolves in harmony. It would amplify our power exponentially. But more than that, it would create a bond that no blood mage could break or manipulate. My heart raced. A permanent bond. Yes. He didn't look away, didn't soften the intensity of his gaze. I know we've only known each other as mates for 2 days. I know this is fast and probably insane, and you have every right to say no. But Seraphina, his voice cracked slightly. I've wanted you for years. I've watched you, waited for you, hoped for you. And now that I have you, the thought of anyone taking you away, of anyone hurting you or controlling you. He stopped, jaw clenched. It terrifies you. I finished softly. It destroys me. The raw honesty in his admission made my chest tight. You asked me earlier how I could be so certain about us. This is how. Because the alternative, a world where you're not mine and I'm not yours. That's not a world I want to exist in. I should have been overwhelmed. Should have pulled back. Asked for time. Insisted we slow down. But standing there in his shirt, feeling the mate bond singing between us, remembering the vision of ancient wolves united in purpose and power, I felt only certainty. The full moon, I said. That's tonight, isn't it? Surprise flickered across his features. Yes, in a few hours. Then we don't have much time. I rose on my toes, bringing my lips close to his ear. Teach me everything I need to know. About the ceremony, about fighting as a wolf, about standing beside you as your equal. I pulled back to meet his eyes. Because I choose this, Kael. I choose you. Not because of fate or cosmic design or ancient bloodlines, but because you're the only person who's ever looked at me and seen someone worth waiting for. The kiss he gave me was different from the first, not gentle or tentative, but claiming. A promise and a vow. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back as he deepened the kiss. And I felt the golden wolf purr contentedly inside me. recognizing her mate on every possible level dot when we finally broke apart. Both breathing hard, Kael rested his forehead against mine. The ceremony will require us to shift under the moonlight and exchange vows in wolf form. Our packs will bear witness, and the bond will be sealed by blood a single bite that marks us as permanently mated. Will it hurt? The bite! Momentarily. But the bond, his smile was soft, genuine. The bond will feel like coming home. A distant howl echoed down the stone stairway, urgent and summoning. Our hour was almost up. They're waiting for us, I said. Let them wait a little longer. Kael's hands tightened on my waist. I need to know you understand what we're walking into. The Northern Pack won't accept our bonding ceremony peacefully. They'll see it as defiance, as theft of something they believe belongs to them. There will be challenges, possibly violence. I know. I covered his hands with mine. But I'm done living small, Kael. Done hiding what I am and apologizing for existing. If they want a fight, the golden wolf rose inside me, eager and unafraid. Then let's show them what happens when shadow and light refuse to be extinguished. His smile turned predatory, proud. That's my mate. We dressed quickly Kael in his alpha formal attire, dark and commanding, and me in clothing Marcus had brought. Leather pants and a fitted shirt in deep gold. That made my silver eyes stand out. Battle clothes, but beautiful. Worthy of an alpha's mate dot as we climbed the stairs back to the pack house. Kael's hand remained firmly clasped around mine. Through the bond, I felt his determination, his protective fury, and underneath it all, something that made my breath catch dot love. Raw and new and absolutely certain. Whatever happens tonight. His voice whispered through our connection. Know that I would burn the world down before I let anyone take you from me. Good. I sent back, my own wolf's ferocity rising to meet his. Because I'd do the same for you. We emerged into the great hall to find the entire pack assembled and waiting. Warriors in formation, elders in ceremonial robes, families gathered in protective clusters. And at the center of it all stood Marcus, flanking Lyanna and her 5 council members who'd been granted entry for the parley. Lyanna's eyes widened when she saw me dressed as an equal rather than a prisoner. Saw Kael's possessive stance beside me. Saw the golden light still flickering faintly beneath my skin. Well, she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Isn't this cozy? The Alpha and his pet. Chapter 7. The breaking point time seemed to slow. As Northern Pack warriors spread through the great hall, their weapons gleaming in torchlight. The Blood Mage moved with unsettling grace, bone charms clicking rhythmically as she approached. Her eyes were milky white blind in the physical sense, but seeing far more than any normal shifter could. Stand down. Kael's alpha command rolled through the hall like thunder, backed by centuries of Stormborne authority. This is neutral ground. You violate sacred law by drawing weapons here. Sacred law? Lyanna's laugh was brittle. You speak of law while harboring stolen property? Seraphina belongs to the Northern Pack. Her bloodline, her power, everything she is comes from us. I belong to myself. My voice rang out clearly, and I felt the golden wolf rising to reinforce my words with ancient power. Several northern warriors actually flinched. My mother fled your pack because you would have enslaved her. I won't make her sacrifice meaningless by surrendering to the same fate. The Blood Mage spoke for the first time, her voice like rustling grave cloth. The girl speaks boldly for one who understands nothing. The golden wolf is not a gift, child. It is a burden that will consume you without proper guidance. She raised one gnarled hand, and I felt something probe at my mind, cold and invasive, searching for weaknesses. Already I sensed the chaos within you. Untrained, unstable, dangerous to yourself and everyone near you. Kael moved to intercept, but I touched his arm, stopping him. Through our bond, I sent reassurance even as my heart raced. Let me handle this. Seraphina, trust me. I stepped forward to face the Blood Mage directly, feeling her magical probing intensify. It felt like icy fingers rifling through my memories, my fears searching for leverage. But underneath my surface thoughts, the golden wolf prowled patient, watchful, and far more ancient than this witch's petty magic. You want to see chaos? I asked softly. Let me show you what the golden wolf truly is. I didn't shift fully. That would have been aggression, an excuse for violence. Instead, I let the wolf's presence surface just enough that my eyes blazed with golden light and power, rolled off me invisible waves. The temperature in the hall spiked, and several northern warriors gasped. The Blood Mage's probing magic recoiled as if burned. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her blind features. The golden wolf isn't chaos. I continued, my voice resonating with something older than words. It's order. It's balance. It's the moon goddess's reminder that power should protect, not dominate. I took another step closer. And you, Blood Mage, have spent so long binding and controlling that you've forgotten what true power looks like. Enough. Lyanna's voice cracked like a whip. We didn't come here for philosophical debates. Seraphina, you have two choices. Come with us willingly for training and integration into the Northern Pack, or be taken by force. Those are your only options. Actually, Kael said, his voice deceptively calm as he moved to stand beside me. There's a third option you haven't considered. Lyanna's eyes narrowed. And what would that be? War. The single word dropped into the hall like a stone into still water, rippling out with devastating implications. Northern Council members exchanged glances. Even Lyanna's confidence wavered slightly. You wouldn't dare, she said. The Bloodmoon Pack is strong, but the Northern Territories command 3 times your numbers. You'd be destroyed. Perhaps. Kael's smile was all teeth. But not before we sent word to every pack in the region about what you're truly attempting, enslaving a golden wolf bearer through blood magic. Do you think the other alphas would stand by while you amass that kind of power? The political alliances alone would crumble. You face opposition from every direction. I felt his strategy through the bond, not just threatening violence, but threatening exposure. The Northern Pack's strength relied on other packs not knowing about their blood magic practices. Their attempts to control legendary bloodlines. Empty threats, Lyanna spat. But I heard the uncertainty beneath her bravado. Are they? Kael gestured to Marcus, who stepped forward holding a leather satchel. My beta has already prepared messages to be sent to 15 neighboring packs, detailing your blood mage, your forced binding rituals, and your attempt to kidnap a sovereign pack member. The riders are waiting. Give me the word, and by dawn, every alpha within 300 miles will know exactly what the Northern Pack has become. The blood mage hissed, her blind eyes somehow focusing on Kael with disturbing intensity. You play a dangerous game, Alpha Stormborne. Information travels both directions. Perhaps other packs would be interested to know what bloodline flows through your veins as well. The temperature in the hall dropped sharply. Through our bond, I felt Kael's flash of alarm. She knew. The blood mage had sensed what he truly was. What's she talking about? Lyanna demanded, looking between them with dawning suspicion. Nothing that concerns you, Kael said, but his hand had moved to my back, protective and possessive. The blood mage's smile was grotesque. Oh, but it concerns everyone. The Shadowfang bloodline was declared extinct centuries ago. Hunted down and eliminated because of their unnatural abilities walking between worlds, commanding darkness itself. She tilted her head, listening to things only she could hear. Yet here stands a shadow wolf, hiding in plain sight as a simple alpha. How fascinating. The revelation hit the hall like an explosion. Northern warriors stepped back instinctively. Even Lyanna's carefully maintained composure cracked, her eyes widening with something that looked like fear and greed mixed together. A shadow wolf, she breathed, and a golden wolf. Both legendary bloodlines, both supposedly extinct, both here together. Her expression transformed into something predatory. Do you understand what this means? The power, the potential. She turned to her council members. We don't just take the girl. We take them both. That, Elder Morna's voice rang out from the back of the hall, would be an exceptionally poor decision. All eyes turned to where the elderly healer stood, no longer stooped and frail, but upright and radiating in authority. That made even the Blood Mage pause. In her hands, she held an ancient tome bound in silver and moonstone. "Elder Morna?" I whispered, confused. "Forgive me, child," she said gently, "for not revealing this sooner. But some secrets must be kept until the moment they're needed." She moved forward, pack members parting before her with reverence I'd never seen them show. "I am not merely a healer. I am the last keeper of the old ways, guardian of the sacred laws that predate all modern pack structures." She opened the tome, and the pages glowed with soft silver light. Before there were territories and pack politics and blood feuds, there was only the moon goddess's law. And that law is very clear. A true mate bond, willingly formed between two legendary bloodlines, is sacred and inviolable. Any who interfere with such a bond forfeit the goddess's protection. Old superstitions. The Blood Mage scoffed, but her voice lacked conviction. "Then test them." Elder Morna's eyes glinted with challenge. "Attempt your binding ritual on Seraphina now, in the presence of a true mate bond, and see what happens. But I warn you, blood magic is powerful. Yes, but it's nothing compared to what the moon goddess does to those who violate her most sacred laws." Lyanna looked to the Blood Mage, who had gone very still. A long moment passed before the witch shook her head slowly. "The old woman speaks truth. I sense the mate bond between them is already stronger than any binding ritual I could perform." Attempting to override it would, she trailed off, but her meaning was clear. It would be catastrophic. "So what do you suggest?" Lyanna's voice was tight with frustration. "We just let them bond and walk away empty-handed." "No," the Blood Mage said slowly, her blind eyes somehow fixing on Kael and me. "We witness the bonding ceremony. We observe, and then we negotiate not from a position of attempted force, but as equals seeking alliance." It wasn't what we'd expected. Through the bond, I felt Kael's surprise matching my own. "Alliance?" Kael asked carefully. "Think. Alpha Stormborne." The Blood Mage's voice took on a different quality, less threatening, more calculating. "A shadow wolf and a golden wolf, properly bonded, represent a power balance not seen in centuries. The Northern Pack could use that alliance. And you?" She gestured to the room full of warriors. "You could use our numbers, our resources, our ancient knowledge." "Under what terms?" I asked, my instincts screaming that there was a catch. "Simple." Lyanna had recovered her composure, her mind clearly racing through political calculations. "You bond as mates. You remain as co-alphas of the Bloodmoon Pack, but you acknowledge your northern bloodline. Seraphina, you agree to occasional counsel with our pack, sharing of knowledge," and she paused meaningfully. "When the time comes for children, the Northern Pack would have claim to train any who manifest the Golden Wolf." "Absolutely not." Kael's response was immediate and absolute. "You will not have access to our children. Then you condemn them to the same fate as you, hiding what they are, fearing exposure, never reaching their full potential." The Blood Mage's words were poisoned honey. "Is that what you want for your legacy? More fear, more secrets." Chapter 8. Under the moon's witness, sacred grounds lay beyond the pack house. A natural clearing ringed by ancient oaks whose branches seemed to reach for the stars. Pack members had already formed a circle round the perimeter, torches held high, their faces solemn with the weight of witnessing something that hadn't been performed in living memory. The Northern Pack stood apart, observers rather than participants, but their presence added tension to the air. Lyanna's expression was unreadable, while the Blood Mage had settled on a stone at the clearing's edge. Her blind eyes turned skyward as if consulting forces only she could perceive. Elder Morna waited at the circle's center, her ancient tome open in her hands. In the moonlight, she looked almost ethereal, no longer just an elderly healer, but something timeless and otherworldly. The last keeper of the old ways. The moon rises full tonight, she began, her voice carrying easily across the clearing despite its softness. And we gathered to witness a bond that transcends pack law, political alliance, and mortal understanding. A bond written in starlight and sealed in blood. Kael's hand tightened around mine as we approached the circle's center. Through our bond, I felt his nervousness not about the ceremony itself, but about revealing everything he was to both packs simultaneously. For someone who'd hidden his true nature his entire life, this public transformation was an act of profound vulnerability. I'm with you. I sent through the bond. Whatever happens, we face it together. His mental voice was warm with gratitude and love. Together. The ceremony requires 3 parts. Elder Morna continued, reading from the glowing pages. First, the revelation both wolves must show their true forms, hiding nothing. Second, the vow-spoken words that bind soul to soul. Third, the markabite that seals the bond in blood and makes permanent what the moon goddess has deemed sacred. She looked at us both, her pale eyes reflecting moonlight. Are you prepared to be witnessed? To be vulnerable? To be bound? Yes, Kael and I answered in unison. Then let the revelation begin. Kael released my hand and stepped back, his eyes never leaving mine. I've hidden what I am since birth, he said, loud enough for all to hear. My mother died to protect this secret, and my father kept it hidden to keep me safe. But I'm done living in fear. He looked around the circle, meeting the eyes of his pack members, the northern representatives, even Lyanna's calculating gaze. I am Kael Stormborne, Alpha of the Bloodmoon Pack, and I am the last Shadow Wolf. He shifted. The transformation was breathtaking. Darkness itself seemed to coalesce around him, pulling shadows from between the trees until they wrapped around his form like living smoke. When it cleared, the massive black wolf stood in his place larger than any alpha wolf should be, with fur that absorbed light rather than reflected it and eyes that burned with ancient starlight. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Several pack members dropped to one knee instinctively, recognizing power beyond mortal reckoning. Even the northern warriors looked shaken. The shadow wolf turned those luminous eyes to me, and through the bond, I heard his voice. Your turn, my light. Show them what you truly are. I stepped forward, my heart racing, but my resolve absolute. I am Seraphina Ashwell, I said, surprised by the strength in my voice. Daughter of Ilara Silvermoon, who died protecting my right to choose my own fate. For 24 years, I believed I was broken, cursed, less than nothing. I looked at Lyanna, then at my pack, my family. But I was never broken. I was waiting. I let the shift take me. This time, the transformation was pure joy. The golden wolf emerged like dawn breaking over mountains, radiant and impossible to ignore. I felt larger than before, stronger, as if the bond with Kael had amplified everything I was. My fur glowed with captured sunlight, and when I moved, golden light rippled across the ground like water dot the two wolves' shadow and light. Night and day circled each other slowly. Where the shadow wolf moved, darkness followed. Where I walked, golden radiance bloomed. The contrast should have been jarring, incompatible. Instead, it was perfect balance. When we came together at the circle's center, touching nose to nose, the effect was instantaneous. Golden light and living shadow merged, spiraling upward in a column of power that painted the entire clearing in moving patterns. The ancient oaks seemed to lean inward, bearing witness. The full moon above blazed brighter, and I swear I heard singing ancient voices welcoming something long absent from the world. Beautiful. Kael's mental voice was thick with emotion. You're so beautiful it hurts to look at you, Dot, so are you. I sent back, meaning it with every fiber of my being. My shadow, my mate. Elder Morna's voice broke through our private moment. The revelation is complete. Shadow and light acknowledge each other as true equals. She turned a page in her tome. Now comes the vow. Speak your truth. Kael Stormborne. Bind yourself with words that cannot be broken. The shadow wolf shifted partially a form between man and beast that I'd never seen before. Half wolf, half human, radiating power in its rawest form. When he spoke, his voice resonated with the depth of both his natures. Seraphina Ashwell. He said, the words formal and ancient, drawn from the tome's pages. I vow to stand beside you, not above you, to protect without possessing, to strengthen without controlling. I offer you my shadow as shelter, my strength as shield, my heart as home. His eyes still glowing with that unearthly light locked onto mine. I vow to honor your freedom as sacred, your choices as sovereign, your power as equal to mine. From this night until my last breath, you are my mate, my partner, my equal in all things. The words settled over us like a physical weight, binding and beautiful. Through the bond, I felt them take root in his soul, unbreakable as stone. Then it was my turn. I shifted to the same half form, feeling the strangeness of being caught between two natures. My voice emerged rougher than normal, touched by the golden wolf's ancient power. Kael Stormborne. I began, following the ceremonial words Elder Morna had taught us in hurried preparation. I vow to stand beside you, never behind you, to be your light in darkness, your warmth in winter, your hope in despair. My voice strengthened. I offer you my gold as beacon, my courage as companion, my soul as sanctuary. I vow to honor your truth as I honor my own, to fight beside you without hesitation, to love you without reservation. I paused, then added words not from the tome, but from my heart. You waited for years for me. When you could have had anyone, you saw worth in me when I couldn't see it in myself. You gave me freedom when others wanted control. I vow to spend every day proving I'm worthy of that faith. You already have, he said, his voice breaking slightly on the words. Elder Morna's smile was gentle as she closed the tome. The vows are spoken and accepted. Now comes the mark, the sealing of the bond in blood. This will hurt, but the pain is fleeting. What remains is permanent and unbreakable. She looked at us both seriously. Are you certain? Once the mark is given, there is no undoing it. Your souls will be bound across all lifetimes. I'm certain, I said immediately. As am I. Kael agreed, then face each other, wolf to wolf, and when the moon reaches its zenith. She looked up at the full moon, now directly overhead, mark each other as mates. We shifted fully back to wolf form, the shadow wolf and the golden wolf, facing each other under moonlight that seemed to hold its breath. Through the bond, I felt Kael's love, his certainty, his absolute commitment. And I sent back the same, letting him feel every ounce of what I felt for him. Ready? He asked. Ready. The moon reached its highest point, and we moved as one. The bite was swift, and sure, his teeth closing on the junction of my neck and shoulder. Mine finding the same spot on him. Pain flared bright and sharp, but it was washed away almost instantly by something far more powerful. The mate bond exploded. What had been a thread between us became a flood, a torrent, a complete merging of souls. I felt everything he felt: his love, his pride, his fierce protectiveness, his vulnerability. His ancient loneliness finally ended, and he felt me, my fear transformed to courage, my worthlessness transformed to purpose, my isolation transformed to belonging. But it was more than emotions. I could feel his wolf's instincts as if they were mine, sense his connection to shadow and darkness and the spaces between worlds. And through our bond, he experienced my connection to light, to life, to the golden radiance that sang with the moon goddess's power. We were separate beings, but we were also in the most fundamental sense. One. When we finally released each other and stepped back, both of us bore marks that glowed, his with golden light, mine with shadow that moved like living smoke, permanent, unbreakable, visible, proof of a bond that transcended everything. The clearing erupted in howls, the Bloodmoon Pack celebrating their alphas bonding, welcoming their new co-alpha. Even some of the northern pack joined in, unable to resist the primal joy of witnessing something so sacred. Elder Morna raised her hands for silence. When the howls faded, she spoke with a voice that seemed to echo from ancient times. By the moon goddess's law, witnessed by two packs and sealed in blood, I declare Kael Stormborne and Seraphina Ashwell to be true mates. Shadow and light, joined forever. She closed her tome with finality. Let any who would break this bond be cursed with the goddess's wrath. Let any who honor it be blessed with her favor. Chapter 9. Dawn's reckoning. Alpha's chambers were quiet, a sanctuary from the celebration that continued in the great hall below. Through the bond, I could feel the pack's joy like distant music, warm and welcoming, but not overwhelming. Kael had taught me in those first private moments how to modulate the connection, to be aware of the pack without drowning in their emotions. Now we sat together by the fire, wrapped in soft blankets, his arms around me as I leaned back against his chest. The bite marks on our shoulders still glowed faintly gold on his skin. Shadow on mine pulsing in rhythm with our heartbeats. Tell me what you're feeling, Kael murmured, his lips brushing my temple. Through the bond, I sense conflict. Second thoughts? Never. I turned in his arms to face him. But I'm thinking about tomorrow, about the negotiations. My fingers traced the glowing mark on his shoulder, marveling at how something so permanent could feel so right. The Blood Mage said we have much to discuss. What do you think they really want? Beyond the obvious? Kael's expression grew thoughtful. Access to our bloodlines, certainly. But I think there's more. Did you notice how carefully Lyanna watched the bonding? She wasn't just assessing power, she was calculating political advantage. You think she wants to use our bond? Somehow. I think she wants to. Position the Northern Pack as our allies so that when questions arise about two extinct bloodlines suddenly reappearing, they can claim partial credit. Legitimacy through association. His hand came up to cut my face. But that's a problem for Dawn. Right now, I just want to be here. With you, my mate. The words sent warmth cascading through me. Mate. After a lifetime of feeling unwanted, I now belong to someone completely. And he belonged to me. Can I ask you something? I said softly. About your mother. Kael's arms tightened slightly, but he nodded. Anything. You said she died giving birth to you. That she hid what she was to protect you. I chose my words carefully. Do you blame yourself for her death? Silence stretched between us, broken only by the crackling fire. Through the bond, I felt layers of old grief, guilt, and something darker wound that had never fully healed. Every day for the first 20 years of my life, he finally admitted. My father told me she was the strongest person he'd ever known. That she chose to have me even knowing the risks. Even knowing that manifesting a shadow wolf would take everything from her. His voice roughened. I used to wish I'd never been born. That she could have lived if I hadn't existed. Kael. But then my father told me something before he died. He said my mother's last words were, let him be free. Let him choose light instead of hiding in shadow. Kael's eyes met mine, raw with emotion. She didn't die because I was born. She died so I could have a choice about what kind of wolf I'd become, what kind of alpha I'd be. She died giving me freedom. The parallel to my own mother hit me like a physical blow. Just like my mother died protecting my right to choose. Yes, his forehead rested against mine. We're both children of sacrifice, Seraphina. Women who loved us enough to die so we could be free. And now we have to decide, how do we honor that sacrifice? By hiding what we are, or by showing the world that freedom and power can coexist? I think, I said slowly, we honor them by being exactly what they wanted us to be, free, together, refusing to let fear control our choices. Even if those choices are dangerous, especially then. I pulled back enough to look him in the eye. Tomorrow, when we sit down with Lyanna and her council, we can't negotiate from a place of fear. We have to come from strength, from unity. We show them that we're not desperate for their approval or their alliance. We're offering partnership between equals. Kael's smile was slow and proud. You sound like an alpha, I am an alpha, co-alpha of the Bloodmoon Pack. The title still felt strange on my tongue, but saying it aloud made it real. And that means I need to start thinking like one. Understanding pack politics, resource management, defensive strategies, slow down. Kael's laugh was warm against my skin. You don't have to learn everything in one night. But I've wasted so much time already. 24 years thinking I was powerless, useless. You were never useless. His hands framed my face, forcing me to meet his intense gaze. You worked in the infirmary, helped Elder Morna, cultivated that herb garden. Read every book in our library twice over. You were preparing, even if you didn't know it. Building knowledge, developing skills, learning patience and compassion. His thumb stroked my cheekbone. All of that made you who you are now. None of it was wasted. Tears pricked my eyes. How do you always know the right thing to say? Because I've been watching you for 4 years, remember? I know how your mind works, how you blame yourself for things beyond your control. How you think you have to prove your worth constantly. His voice softened. You don't, Seraphina. Not to me. Not to the pack. Not to anyone. You're enough exactly as you are. I kissed him then, pouring everything I couldn't say into the contact. Through the bond, our emotions tangled and merged love and gratitude and desire and something deeper. Something that felt like coming home after a lifetime of wandering. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Kael rested his forehead against mine. We should sleep. Tomorrow will be challenging, and we need to be sharp for the negotiations. I don't think I can sleep. My heart was still racing. My mind spinning with everything that had happened in just 2 days. Everything feels too big, too important. What if I make a wrong decision tomorrow? What if I say something that compromises the pack? Then we fix it together. His certainty flowed through the bond, steadying me. That's what mates do. Seraphina, we balance each other. Where you doubt, I'll be confident. Where I'm too aggressive, you'll be diplomatic. We complement each other, that's the whole point. Is it always like this? I asked. The mate bond, this intense? In the beginning, yes. Eventually it settles, becomes more like breathing always there, but not overwhelming. He pulled me closer, ranging us so we were lying down, my back to his chest. His arms wrapped securely round me. But the intensity isn't a bad thing. It's teaching us to trust each other completely, to rely on this connection when everything else feels uncertain. I let myself relax into his embrace, feeling safe in a way I'd never experienced before. Through the bond, I could sense his wolf massive and protective, curled around my golden wolf like a living shield. They were content, settled, absolutely certain of their connection. Kael? I whispered into the darkness. HMM, thank you for waiting, for choosing me, for seeing something worth loving when no one else did. His arms tightened. Thank you for being brave enough to choose me back, for not running when you learned what I was, for standing beside me even when it's terrifying. We lay in comfortable silence for a while, the fire burning low, the celebration sounds fading as pack members sought their own beds. I felt myself drifting, exhaustion finally catching up with the adrenaline. But just before sleep claimed me, Kael's voice pulled me back. Seraphina, there's something else you should know about the negotiations tomorrow. I turned slightly in his arms. What? The Blood Mage said something before we left for the ceremony. Something that's been bothering me. He paused, clearly choosing his words carefully. She asked if I knew why the Shadow Wolf and Golden Wolf bloodlines were specifically targeted for extinction. Why those two, out of all the rare bloodlines? My exhaustion faded as unease prickled down my spine. What did you tell her? That I didn't know. Because my father never explained it. Just said we were dangerous. His hand found mine in the darkness, squeezing gently. But she smiled when I said that. And she told me we'd find out tomorrow. That it was crucial to the alliance discussion. You think she knows something we don't. I think she knows a lot we don't. And I think tomorrow, she's going to use that knowledge as leverage. He shifted so we were face to face, his eyes serious even in the dim firelight. Whatever she reveals, whatever she tries to use against us, we stay united. We don't let her drive a wedge between us or make us doubt what we've chosen. United, I agreed, sealing the promise with a kiss. Shadow and light. Together. Always together, he murmured against my lips. This time, when sleep came, it was deep and dreamless. But somewhere in the back of my mind, my golden wolf stirred restlessly, sensing that tomorrow would bring revelations that would change everything we thought we knew. About our bloodlines. About why we'd been hunted. About what we were truly capable of when fully bonded. And about what the Northern Pack really wanted from us. The knock came at dawn, sharp and insistent. Marcus's voice filtered through the door. Alpha, Co-Alpha, the Northern delegation is ready. They're waiting in the council chamber. Kael's arms tightened around me for just a moment before releasing. Through the bond, I felt his reluctance to leave our sanctuary, matched by his determination to face whatever came next. Time to see what secrets the Blood Mage is so eager to share, he said, helping me dress in formal attire, deep gold leather that marked me as Co-Alpha. Beautiful and battle-ready in equal measure. As we walked toward the council chamber, our hands linked and our marks glowing softly, I felt the golden wolf rise inside me. Not with fear, but with anticipation. Whatever truth waited beyond that door, we'd face it as we faced everything else now.